Hi there. You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. This is the way.
Hi there. It's your second favorite DP right here, okay? No, that's Deadpool, you silly little Hufflepuff. Anyways, I'm gonna need you to shut up that pretty little mouth of yours and pay attention because the show's about to start, alright? And, I don't know about you, but I know who's my vote for sexiest ex-soldier turned pop culture show host. Alright, enough foreplay. Let's get on with the show.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, welcome. Are we supposed to? Was the music too loud? My bad. My bads, y'all. I can adjust that. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome, one and all. Today is April 23rd, 2024. This is episode 167 of Pop Culture Warrior, the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I am CQ. I am your pop culture warrior. And joining me tonight is our beloved. Wait, is it? No, that doesn't look. Can it? That's no. That's not right. Let's see who we've got joining us in the bubble tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. It's Angry Elf. Hey!
Hi, Peanut.
Hi, Peanut. Hey, what's going on? You're not the
Hey.
face that I usually see in the bubble.
No, not
What's-
tonight.
You look vaguely familiar.
Yes.
Mike, you've changed. You've
Nope,
changed
nope.
your look.
Yes, stop. Mikey said we couldn't talk about this.
That's right. You're right. You
Don't
can't
talk about it.
Can't talk about it. L.F.G, let's fucking go, man. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. All right, tonight. Now, just FYI, everybody, we don't have a guest tonight, but I did want to shout out, we do have a guest coming on. Oh my God, I dropped it. We do have a guest coming on next week. It is, Jesus Christ, stay still.
Buddy fingers.
Oh my God, nerve damage is a bitch. We have the creators of A Game of Ham. It is a wonderful board game. It's kind of like a mix of, was it Cards Against Humanity, but also like a board game. It's wild, man. It's wild. I've been looking it out. They were so nice that for those that know, Friday nights we've been doing these kind of like live game nights. They loved what we were doing. They reached out. They said, hey, we want to send you a game for you to play. So they were very nice to send us one for free. We're going to play it this Friday night live on the channel. So stay tuned for that. And then they're going to come on next week. We're going to talk about the game. And they're going to give one away to the audience. So one of you live lucky folks next week can win your very own copy of The Game of Ham. So tune in this Friday for us. We're got a bunch of guys coming over. We're gonna play it, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Nice.
What else was I? Oh yeah, we still have that that code. Remember I was talking about the leg holster thing a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
That code is still active.
Your satchel.
The side satchel, the leg satchel, if you will.
Yeah.
At uubgear.com, code PCW10. Dude, I love it. I absolutely love mine. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Fan Expo Philly, the Comic-Con there.
Oh.
And I'm excited. I'm already like packing out my gear, and I'm like, okay, man, this is gonna go here, this is gonna go there. I love the thing, and I'm gonna get the creators of that to come on as well because it's really a great product, and I love it. I'm happy to support things that I truly believe in, versus some type of shill for.
Does it come in camouflage?
It comes in everything, man. It comes in everything, every color, every style. I mean, and I think you can even request stuff. Like if there's a certain thing you wanted to request, I think they take those as well. So,
It comes in everything.
yeah, it comes in everything. What's up, guys? So, real quick, hey Keith, what's up, Keith? How you doing? All right. Let's see. What's up? SUB guy. Subby guy? All right, subby guy. I like it. I'll take it. Subby guy. What's up, man? What do you hear? What do you say from the sports bar? Thanks for coming in. Subby guy?
Is he in the Navy? Is he a submarine guy?
Subby, yeah, could be.
Root?
Let's see, figures the week after Yes, that's right. He says he's Angry Elf's buddy. Subby guy is Angry Elf's buddy. So
there
you go.
Oh, I know who that is.
And yeah, Keith, God bless Keith, man. I know you were in my neck of the woods, man. I'm sorry we couldn't get together, man. And of course, the week after, we're all set to go now. Jeremy says, present, not dead yet. Hey, man.
Good.
That's what we could hope for. And then some dude named Juanito Ramos is in the chat saying, "Hey, what up, Waze?" Yeah,
Is that
that's him.
is that
That's
is
him.
that P? Is that P Daddy?
That's P Diddy himself. What's up, man? Let's see. Subaru guy. He says Subaru guy.
The Subaru guy.
I like it. Okay, so lots to talk about, man, this week. Oh my God, where to even begin? What could possibly be the biggest thing to happen since we last were on air over the last week? I don't know.
Yeah, something about like a prayer.
Like a prayer. Madonna's trending for some reason this week. It's weird.
I wonder why. Well, you know.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been blessed. The Marvel gods have blessed us. They dropped the Deadpool trailer yesterday. The Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. It is there's Tacos. Hi, Tacos. It is phenomenal, amazing, incredible, crazy, astonishing, uncanny, wonderful,
yes,
ultimate. It's all of it, all wrapped in one. So we're going to play it, and then we are going to discuss, because I have theories that I want to talk. So without further ado, I have theories. I have lots of theories. Without further ado, the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine.
I told you, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome anywhere. Now get the fuck out of my bar.
Just give me one more drink and then I'll leave.
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy. Here we go. Oh, whiskey dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
You don't want this.
Unless you want to take a deep breath through your fucking forehead, I suggest you reconsider. I'm about to lose everything that I've ever cared about.
Not my fucking problem.
Is that what you said when your world went to shit?
Come again.
This Wolverine let down his entire world.
Want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback?
Go fuck yourself.
I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do.
Trust me, kid, I'm no hero.
You were an X-Man. You were the X-Man. I am soaking wet right now.
Boys are so silly.
This is what I'm talking about. Big slow motion action sequence. Who knows if you live or die? Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Want to do some cocaine?
Hey, cocaine is the one thing that Feige said is off limits.
What about Bolivian marching powder?
They know all the slang terms. They have a list.
Even snowboarding?
Even disco dust.
White girl interrupted?
Even force bump.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes! But I can't.
Hey everybody, we're back. It's saying Keith says the video is not broadcasting on the YouTube. That's strange. Oh, on the vertical YouTube.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. But in honor of that, I think you got something to share with the class.
I do. I've got 6 of them.
Okay, and I brought in.
Oh, you got a friend over there.
Oh, sorry. Wrong language mode. Hi, it's me, Deadpool.
How you doing, bud? You excited for the movie? No? Yes? Hello? No?
He
Didn't shut up the whole time. Not
the
now.
whole time, the
Now he
one
shuts up.
time he doesn't want to talk. Oh, he wants to play music.
Hello and welcome to Deadpool TV.
Oh, he's
So,
taking
Bob,
over
tell
the
me,
show now.
you have
I
a
see.
superpower. What would it be?
All right, shut up, Deadpool. You're fine.
All right.
All right.
Wow, that really takes my breath away. Away with
He's going to
words.
take this show over.
But let's get real. What's your sauce? Barbecue or ranch dressing?
You
Real
know what I
ranch.
like. You know what I like.
Fascinating. Tell us more.
He
Okay.
only responds to Madonna. That's good. I like that.
Oh, good one. You're hilarious. What's the name of your improv troupe?
All right. Deadpool. We've
You know,
no.
Well,
you should
tickle
do a
me
show
sweetly
with
and
that
oh.
head as your co-host.
That would be terrible. Nobody would like that. Anyway, well, in honor of the release of the trailer, we're gonna hang you back there for now.
Yes.
Everybody can see you. There you go. So Deadpool and Wolverine. The trailer, phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah.
Phenomenal. It is everything I hoped it would be. I wanted it to be. I have theories. First, I'll let you go first. Is there anything you want to say about the trailer? About anything about it?
The only thing that this does is don't give me hope, Feige. Don't give me hope, because I believe in Ryan Reynolds. I believe in Hugh Jackman. I think this movie is going to be everything that we want, and it's just going to, leave us heartbroken at the end. That's my only thing. But this thing looks sick. Like, I'm sitting there. The second the tickets go on sale, I'm going to get the first showing I can get, and I'm going. And I might just watch it 2, 3, 4 times that weekend. Kind of like what you and I did years ago when Spider-Man 2 came out when we were in Vicenza.
That's right. Yes, or more recently when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and I watched it like 5 times in the theater.
Yeah.
So, man, there's so much to unpack.
Yeah, it really is.
We knew going, just with all the spoilers and all the things that have been leaked, we knew we were going to see the return of a lot of Fox characters. Even with the teaser trailer that they showed before, we knew like Pyro was coming back, and obviously we knew Wolverine was coming back. Obviously, this is just like wow. Obviously, if you play it frame by frame, you see the TVA's involved. We know the Void, that the end of time Void is involved, because we see all the kind of Mad Max style, whatever, of the wasteland. We know that, what was it, Eliath, the big purple monster from the cloud monster from Loki. We know that's involved. We saw that.
Yeah.
We see returning characters like Lady Deathstroke, or
no, Deathstrike, not
Deathstrike.
Deathstroke.
Deathstrike. God forbid. Lady Deathstrike.
Strike.
Then we saw, what was his name? Azazel, I think, was
Azazel. The guy that
red,
was...
the Nightcrawler's daddy, basically.
Not anymore.
we see him in it. Like, there's just so much there.
And then just the Easter eggs, like the storefront that said Liefeld,
just feet.
Just feet. Yeah, just feet.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Rob Liefeld, he was the creator of Deadpool and a lot of other characters, was notorious.
Can't draw feet.
Can't draw feet for his life. Some of the most amazing, iconic artwork you'll ever see.
Yes.
And obtuse triangle square feet. Just really weird feet.
Yeah.
And he admitted it himself, he can't do feet. Like, it's just something he can't do. That being said, so we saw Dogpool. So Dogpool in the trailer. Like, there's so much. There's so much.
And there's so much rumor that wasn't in the trailer. And I hope we don't see it in the trailers until we don't see it until we're sitting in the theaters.
Yeah.
There's so much, and the fact that so the leaked shots showed Wolverine with the sleeves, and then this trailer shows him sleeveless, and then there's been teased images of Wolverine with his iconic mask on, but we haven't seen it with Hugh Jackman actually rocking the mask. I can't wait. I hope it's in there, and two, I can't wait to see that. Him actually rocking the traditional Wolverine mask.
Yes, absolutely. He'll definitely have the mask on at some point. We know that. Somebody else he pointed out the at the end of the trailer, right? The Doctor Strange-esque portal opening up. Now, when you look at that shot, anytime a portal has been opened in the MCU with that little spirally shit, you clearly see what's on the other side. I believe it was very intentional that they whited out that circle.
That's just like the No Way Home trailer where
they had to edit stuff out.
They wiped out the other two Spider-Man.
So my theory is that wherever they're jumping to, A is pivotal to the story, and it would probably spoil things, and B would be instantaneously recognizable, right? Because if it was just like a room they were jumping into, like you could be any room. But A, like the action poses, right? Which I love that Wolverine's doing his ridiculous, because who jumps like that? It's a perfect comic book homage where he does like the 2 feet up arm, but no one in real life jumps like that. So I love the fact that they did it. And then Wolverine kind of going in with the club. So whatever's on the other side of that portal, it's right on the other side of that portal, right? Because it's not like they're running through or walking through. They are mid-action, they're mid-John Wick in air kind of poses, meaning that, maybe it's a sentinel head on the other side of that portal. Maybe it's the Battle of New York. Maybe we're going back for a seventh time to the Battle of New York.
Maybe it's the final battle of Endgame.
Could be the final battle. It could be Thanos. It could be, my God, a million different things.
Yep.
What really strikes me with this trailer is how many kind of references that are homages or nods to the Old Man Logan story arc.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, one of my favorite stories ever told was Old Man Logan, which, like any good story, they've redone to death. But the original Old Man Logan, we flash forward, 50 years into the future.
Yeah.
And we see Logan, and he's old, and he refuses to fight anymore. And basically, all the heroes lost. All the villains won, and it was,
if I remember, it was Mysterio, and it was tricked Logan, and he's the one that defeated.
Yes. So basically, what happened was, it was like the day the heroes fell. All the villains got together and basically killed off all of the heroes. And the X-Men were basically single-handedly taken out by Wolverine, who had been tricked by Mysterio to think he was fighting villains when instead he was slaughtering his own friends. And obviously, Logan, the movie, took elements of the Old Man Logan story. But I know a lot of people, like, again, it was a good movie. It wasn't a bad movie. But a lot of people who were fans of the storyline and you just knew they couldn't do it justice because they didn't have the rights to most of the stuff needed. But now that Disney has, 90% of everything, wouldn't it be really cool to backdoor an Old Man Logan story into this Deadpool movie? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think that's what they kind of alluded to with in that trailer, that what's his name? Mr. Paradox, the guy from the TVA. He was like, this Wolverine freaking let his universe down. And that's what they kind of allude to that.
Well, there's a
That's
lot
gonna
of,
be
but that's the thing. There's a lot of references to it, right?
yeah.
I mean, not only does he look younger, like if you put up the Logan, what he looked like in Logan versus what he's
Mhm.
looking like in this movie, he looks younger. So we know
Yeah.
chronologically this takes place before Logan does, and you know we know in the Logan story that they talk about how all the X-Men are dead, but they never really get specific about what happened and how it happened. But
Yeah.
so many references. The kind of wasteland is supposed to kind of look like, you know, the apocalypse version of what happened in Old Man
Yeah.
Logan. The Ant-Man skull, the
Ant-Man,
Ant-Man
yeah.
helmet that
Giant
opens
Man.
up and it's there, or Giant Man, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Ant-Man being big.
Yeah.
You know, them using his head as a base. I mean, that comes practically straight from the Old Man story arc where
Yeah.
Giant Man had fell in battle and now his like carcass is like a major highway, you know, because they couldn't obviously get rid of it. So like there's just so many references in there that makes me think it's gonna happen.
I like the fact that they're using Cassandra Nova,
Which they still haven't specifically said it is. I mean, the look, the choice.
The only thing is the actress playing her is not old and crusty like she was illustrated in the comics, especially New X-Men when she was introduced. That's the only thing. But I'll give them a pass on that.
We don't know because yes, in the comic books, at the time she's revealed, she's like practically elderly, but we don't know at what point from the timeline she is in this movie. Right? She could be from a much earlier timeline. The other thing is, and I'm just throwing it out there, it could be the biggest fake out ever, right? Where the look, it looks like Cassandra Nova and even some of the powers could be, but there are other people it could be, right? Because the only thing we've seen for sure is that the powers, she was able to kind of manipulate Wolverine.
Right.
Could that have been telekinesis powers? Yes. Mind control powers? Yes. Isn't Magneto's daughter also have the power of magnetism manipulation? I mean,
true, but I mean, if you're going to use Polaris, why? I mean, I get it. They've done it in the past where they've left certain details out, and then you go in and to see the movie, and it is there. But like you know, her green hair. I mean, would I be upset? Not really. I don't care. Am I going to really see the villains? No.
How hard is it? Right? Dude, opening scene, she's got the green hair. She ends up in the desert, and then she's like, "Screw this! It's too much to maintain," and she just like shaves her head. You know what I mean?
She has a Mad Max moment, you know, and just goes, ah.
Yeah, this is way too much to maintain, and just shaves it all off. You never know.
I want to speculate on what cameos we're gonna get.
Oh my God, all of them.
I keep hearing that people are hoping, and I kind of along lines with it. Chris Evans shows up as Johnny Storm.
Yes, not Captain America, but as Johnny Storm.
Or there's some sort of like at the conclusion, there's some sort of meeting, or in Secret Wars, but Chris Evans meets himself a la Endgame, and instead of being America's ass, it's Johnny Storm meets Steve Rogers, and it's like, you look familiar.
Yeah.
Holy, that's one hot ass.
I think that's a step too far. Just personally, I think that's going to, like, it's been done with the America on America thing.
Yeah.
But I do love the idea of like just a small cameo, the same way he did that cameo for what was it? The good? No, not the good guy.
Free Guy.
Free Guy. Where he did that cameo for Ryan Reynolds and Free Guy. I think you do a cameo and you just hear from off screen. Like, you don't even need him. You can literally take the clip of, the voice of the Fantastic Four movie of Flame On, and camera pans and it's Human Torch fully ignited. And, Deadpool like fucking comes in with a fire extinguisher. He's like, and he's just like, no, we're not doing that. We're not. And then, So you never even see Chris Evans, but just that layer of fourth wall break, I think would be fucking awesome.
But I think, hey, look, if Ryan Reynolds can get Brad Pitt to do a split-second cameo in Deadpool 2 for a cup of coffee, he can get Chris Evans to at least show up long enough to say "flame on" himself.
Yeah. Fair point.
So-
What I'm real like, because oh my god, my brain is going a million miles a minute thinking about this.
This movie opens up so many possibilities.
So many possibilities, and I think what it's going to boil down to for me, we know it's going to be a good movie. The action, we haven't even talked. The fight scene looks incredible, and I mean, it's just so good, dude. There was somebody else that spotted this. Credit to them. I don't know if it was New Rockstars or somebody, but they put there's the one scene where Wolverine and Deadpool are fighting,
right?
And you see Wolverine kind of slash at him, and he ducks, he dips and ducks and all that. They put a side by side. It's the Tobey Maguire fight scene when he's fighting Flash in the hallway of when he first gets his powers and Flash is like, ugh, and throws the punches, and Peter Parker's like, shoot, shoot. Dude, they put them side by side. It is frame for frame exactly the same. So they're even sliding in references that you wouldn't know if you didn't know. Like, that's how good the references are in this movie, that they're even referencing bro, when I'll send you the link to it, because it is, you're like, well, no, because, left, right, I mean, how much, the variation. No, man, frame by frame, the exact head movement, the same bob, the same weave, even the same editing cut, like the way it cuts to the other side. Exactly. Oh, man, when I saw that, I was like, you know what? Fucking kudos, man. God damn, that's just brilliant.
Now, here's another thing. You know how everybody complains about trailers and they ruin all the good stuff? What if 80-90% of what is in this trailer is not in the movie, and this was either A, done specifically for the trailer, or B, the crap that was just cut out, like we didn't have time, or hey, this just didn't meet the cut, so we put it over here in this pile, and then they made the trailer out of that, and we haven't seen anything that's going to actually be in the movie.
I wish that was the case. I do.
I
wish that was the case. Dude,
I know.
There's a history, especially with Marvel. There's a history of them putting in scenes.
Infinity War was one of them.
Yeah, but and it goes both ways. So they've put in scenes that were heavily edited, so things were taken out, but they've also put in scenes that aren't in the movie. So, and I'm not just talking about Hulk was added to the running scene, but you look at what was Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
There in the trailer, you see Spider-Man swinging through the city with Iron Man flying. That's not in the movie. You see the Vulture kind of coming down that column and flaring out his wings. That's not in the movie. So there's a lot of times where they'll do test shots just to see how it looks, and it's almost like for the pitch, but they're beyond the pitch. But these kind of test shots that never intended to be in the movie, but they use a lot of that for the trailers, so to hide more stuff for the movie, which I'm all for it. I am all for it. As long as you're not purposely deceiving people into believing they're going to see one thing and then showing them something else. But if you want to keep us in surprise, the whole point of a trailer is to know what the tone of the movie is, or the general concept of the movie, right? We know it's Deadpool. We know some time travel, timey-wimey shenanigans are going to happen, and whatever. What's going to sell it for me for this movie is, like I said, we know the comedy is going to be on point. We know the action is going to be on point. What's going to sell it for me is this is the last time we're going to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, right? So does he get, yes, it is. Will he get the send-off that he deserves? Because Logan was good.
Logan was good.
But it's still, in my fell short of how. I mean, the guy deserves a goddamn like a real send off.
He deserves a something like, but yes, absolutely. I just I hope it's something like, I don't know, maybe kind of sort of tear jerky.
Yeah. Well, like here's the thing. The ending of Logan where he dies in the field and all, like that's the emotional ending. I want the badass going out guns blazing ending where, you know, the whole point of this movie is there's an incursion happening, both worlds will be destroyed, and so he has to make the ultimate sacrifice, right? He does the thing that forces his Fox universe to be destroyed so that the Marvel universe can continue, right? Because he realizes, you know, his universe is already fucked. All the superheroes are dead. You know, supervillains have taken over. Whatever it is, might as well save the universe that has heroes still alive, that has a chance. And so he like makes the ultimate sacrifice to do that. The other thing is Deadpool needs to live on. And this is where it's weird because we don't have any official word one way or another if this is the last Deadpool we'll see, you know.
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is Disney and Marvel Studios. So there's the fact there's several things. I'm not gonna say problems. The thing of it is this is they dropped so many F-bombs in the trailer. It's got to be a rated R movie.
Oh, it is.
And you see the claws to the nuts and all that stuff. So, but here's the thing. You have Deadpool live on. Disney and its old image of being child friend or family friendly with a rated R character. I get it, and it's going to. But is Deadpool going to translate well if he shows up in Secret Wars? They're going to want to make Secret Wars PG-13. So Deadpool shows up in another Avengers movie or whatever in the future, Spider-Man and Deadpool. Are you going to make that PG-13? Or are you going to make that rated R?
Here's my thought. If we do get Deadpool moving past this movie, if we get him Secret Wars, etc., just by the virtue of the nature of the character, you know, when it's a big team up movie, you know, the first, like when sorry, it's playing in my head and I love it. It's, you know,
Captain
you have
America
a scene
saying language.
No, better than that. Is you have a scene like it's, you know, Endgame or whatever, normal scene, and then they're like, we're gonna need backup. Camera quick pan to literally Kevin Feige's office, and it's Deadpool standing there, and he's like, if you sign here, you get to be in the movie. But you know, it's PG-13, so you got to watch the language. The minute you cross the line, you're out of the movie. And he's just like, fuck. Because, you know, you get one F-bomb in a PG-13, so he's just like, fuck, fine. And he signs, and then just literally walk from the office, and then it pans right onto screen.
He walks into the battlefield.
Right into the battlefield, and he's like, okay, let's do this. And he's just like, L.F.G. And they're like, what? Don't worry about it.
Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions. It's contractually obligated, and then go. You know what I mean? So, and then that's how you make it PG-13.
Or better yet, in keeping with Deadpool, he still drops the F-bombs, but every time he drops an F-bomb, there's a censored, sign over his mouth, and he goes beep, and just bleeps him all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it. And like Keith says, if it makes good money, Deadpool will be back. And yes. I definitely think that that is true.
It is true. He's got to be. I mean, come on. The only problem I think could happen is in like a serious team up movie. Ryan Reynolds, from my understanding, at least with these last three, with these Deadpool movies, has been like a guiding principal
Influence,
type
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
You know, kind of trying like this is how we're going to do this. This is how to do that. I've heard behind the scenes problems with the development of Deadpool 2 with who was it? Timothy Miller was the director from the
Oh,
first one. He came over to do the
oh.
second one, and there was
Yeah.
problems because Ryan wanted to do things this way and he wanted to go a different direction. One of it was they wanted Josh Brolin. Ryan Reynolds wanted Josh Brolin to play Cable, but they wanted somebody else similar to like Dolph Lundgren to play Cable.
Yeah.
And obviously Ryan Reynolds won out. So
I
there's
think it
that.
worked out.
But then again, get Kevin Feige to cameo. He would love that.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Let's see. I just got a note here. All right, fair enough. From the actual King Smith, he has a running logbook. This is a real thing. This is not for fun. This is a real thing. The actual King Smith has a running logbook of CQ predictions. And anytime I make a declaration or a statement that he believes is wrong, he captures it and puts a little notation. So he just sent me a screenshot that says April 23rd, 2024 on PCW. CQ says, "We will never see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine after this movie." I'm gonna stand by it. I'm gonna stand by it.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think he's going to show up in whatever this Secret Wars movie. I'm hearing that kind of the rumors are that they want to have Hugh Jackman and one of the Spider-Men, be it Toby, be it Andrew or
Holland.
Tom. Yeah, one of them to team up with Wolverine to have that Wolverine Spider-Man team up. But it's going to be the only Wolverine I've heard is Hugh Jackman. I've heard rumors of maybe
here's the
other guys
problem
taking
with
a clause. What's that?
The problem with that is they want to introduce X-Men in the MCU.
Yeah,
and
they're going to eventually do it.
If you keep bringing back Hugh Jackman, you can't move forward.
The prevailing rumor is right now that end credit scene from the Marvels with Beast and the Binary character, that's going to be the X-Men universe, and somehow through all these incursions that they've been talking about that's going to happen is going to lead into what comes next. Like, I don't know if you guys talked about it already or not. Did you talk about what the suggested current theory is about the Fantastic Four? Takes place in a different.
That it takes place, yeah, like a different either a different timeline or a different dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, they end up in the MCU's universe. And that's so. My only problem is it's fine if you do it with one set of characters. If you do it with the Fantastic Four movie, that's fine. But if you're going to do it with the X-Men,
right,
and then that's going to be the prevailing how you're going to roll all these Fox characters into the MCU.
What I think, and the way it makes sense to me is, this is how we're going to end the X-Men universe as we knew it, the Fox universe. So we're going to end it, which we already know too. Like Jennifer Garner's Elektra is going to be in it.
Yeah.
So we know this is more than just the X-Men, right? It's the Daredevil universe, it's all those. So this movie will put an end to that. But it will open the door to like, well, if that exists, it's going to make it easier for, so the Fantastic Four is their own thing, right? Maybe the new X-Men is its own thing. And that's when you have that Secret Wars, secret whatever, the Kang Dynasty, whatever, is when all of that gets pulled together.
Yeah.
So it's not, in essence, it's not that Fantastic Four will jump over to the MCU and just like that, boom. But maybe the post-credit scene is them realizing, hey, something's happening or something's on the horizon, and that leads them into Secret Wars. the same way an X-Men movie or for all we know, which okay, you want to talk about wild speculation? Here you go. Here's my bold prediction, right? I know the NFL, they'll do bold predictions all the time. Here's my bold prediction.
Get ready. Start writing.
Start writing. Now, this isn't a guarantee. This isn't a CQ guarantee. This is a bold what if you will. What if the X-Men 97 series develops, right? And the reason we haven't been announced a live action X-Men is because they're gonna pull, what was it in Star Trek they did it, where they went from like lower decks, was it? And they jumped to the real world Star Trek. They pull a move like that, where the X-Men 97 series, we fall in love, we were reintroduced, we re-fall in love with it, and it's a backdoor entry for the X-Men to jump to MCU.
And here's the thing. X-Men 97 takes place when? 1997. The MCU is in what? 2026, 2027?
Something
They're
like
a couple
that,
years,
yeah.
they're a couple years ahead of us.
Yeah.
So the X-Men that we see, assuming that these timelines are kind of running similar, that's what, 30-ish years later?
Mm-hmm.
That explains why but yes, I've heard that theory that X-Men 97 is going to make the jump from animation to live action in some way, shape, or form. And that Beast that we saw at the end of the Marvels
is the Beast from X-Men 97.
Hank McCoy and they just happened to use Fraser. What's Fraser's
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer, thank you. They use Kelsey Grammer, but that is the whole.
I'm okay with it.
I kind of like it
if done well. If done well. Because there's two issues with that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if we're jumping 97 to 2020, whatever, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
You need an all new roster because you can't have a 50-year-old Rogue or 60-year-old Rogue. You can't have a Beast, I think can pull it off. Wolverine can pull it off because it doesn't age. But like Jubilee can't be 52. You know what I mean?
But here's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
How old are the Marvel characters?
They're all in their 50s.
How old is Peter Parker?
Oh, Peter Parker in the MCU is what? He just finished high school, so 18, 19?
Right. But what I'm getting at is how old is Peter Parker in the comics? Peter Parker was introduced in the 1960s.
My God, in the comics. Yeah, but again, depending on where you're at in the comics, he's like mid-30s.
Yes, exactly. But what I'm saying is the jump from animation to live action doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to, that timeline, actually, the other thing is that doesn't mean the timeline follows. Mm-hmm. For every 5 years in the MCU is 2 minutes in X-Men 97.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Or the other possibility is it is a kind of a Back to the Future moment where they step through and let's say they're X-Men 99 now, right? It's been a year or two since the series.
Yeah.
But when they step through, they are shocked to be in the future. You know what I mean? Like, because we've known through like the TVA, time is kind of meaningless within the confines. So there's nothing to say that they need to jump forward 30 years. They can literally step through from 1997 to modern 2027. And think about how much fun you could have with that in the like, what is this technology kind of thing,
Oh yeah.
Wolverine getting frustrated at every like Alexa device,
or Jubilee getting upset that there's no more malls.
Yes. She's definitely. Yeah. And yeah. So he's like there is a case that, Wolverine's wearing kind of the old school X-Men look, as it were. But yeah, I don't know. It just,
who knows?
A lot of speculation. I'm excited to see what they do. That's my whole thing. This movie, I think more than any other, is a very important pivotal moment, a pivot point even for
Yeah.
Marvel to get back on track, for them to say, "Hey, we hear you. We see what you want. This is it." And you can still do those other things, but get back to why we love it.
And with that being said, because this was introduced, this trailer was introduced at what, CinemaCon a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
The other trailer that was introduced was Captain America 4, because and the fact that there's a scene with Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie, and Harrison Ford's character, President Ross, saying, "Hey, I want you, Captain America, to reintroduce the Avengers, rebuild the Avengers."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the simple fact that this movie's been delayed, what, a year and a half? And
Which one? The Captain America 4?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, but they're like going back and kind of tooling it.
Yeah,
I think
doing a lot of
retooling
reshoots.
it to kind of work into some of these other things.
Yeah, they're realizing that certain things were not what people wanted, and so they're trying to make changes so that's for the betterment of the movie, which is good, and the betterment of the whole storyline in general. Like, one of the things we loved about the MCU from the very beginning is how everything's connected.
Yeah,
but I feel like we've lost a bit of the way in that everything was connected, but each movie stood on its own two legs, and only made vague passing references. It was the idea of like everything's within the same universe. But I live in the same universe as you, but outside of this show, it's not like we see each other or hear about each other, right?
No.
So it was this idea like that in the background there might be a news clipping of something that's happening in another city. But every movie stood on its own 2 feet, and I feel like we've kind of lost that. And that like everything has to tie into every line of dialogue has to have a meaning to some other thing, and it's like you don't have to do that.
But they really haven't tied in. Like, like the biggest complaint that I've heard is the Eternal that shows up at the end of the Eternals, or not the Eternal, that the Celestial,
the giant being coming out of the ocean.
The Celestial that's coming out of the Indian Ocean, and that movie premiered in what, 21, right? Here
Something,
we are
in 2020.
Here we are in 24. They still only made a passing reference in one movie, and supposedly this is how they're going to introduce adamantium. That's the running rumor, that Celestial, they're going to end up mining adamantium.
I don't know.
Hey, I don't know either, man. All I know is the X-Men is what everybody wants, because X-Men 97 is killing
it. Absolutely killing it. Killing it.
The only problem I have with the X-Men 97 is, and I hope this is payoff by the end of the season, they are jumping through storylines faster than you can like realize what's going on.
Yeah. For those that don't know, like each episode of X-Men 97 is the equivalent of like 2 or 3 years worth of comic books.
Oh yeah.
Like they're just cooking. Now, don't get me wrong, because they're pulling the best of the best.
Yeah.
It's like if you took 3 years of comics and squeezed it, and they got that juice, and like that juice is the episode, and it's perfect. But they are burning through it at a lightning pace. But again, it makes me feel as if they are hurriedly trying to get somewhere. As if they're trying to get to a head, to a point where something could happen.
Who do you think's the big bad for this season?
Well, again, Sinister's the one that's been kind of heavily, implied.
Implied, yes.
Yeah, but X-Men's also, known for having a lot of, surprise things. So it's not hard to believe that there's a hidden puppeteer mastermind. A lot of people saying Cassandra Nova is also going to be the X-Men because of the storylines that they're pulling from. that it ties really
True.
well into that.
True.
But it's obviously not. It's not going to be.
I had a buddy of mine that was saying that it was this one character. I was like, no, I didn't really like it. And then I forget this guy's name, but I watched a video and this YouTuber broke it down. He's saying that in that 3-part finale, it's going to be introduced. It's Baston is the big bad that's been kind of orchestrating everything. And that's going to be, the big bad that they fight. I also think tomorrow's episode, because of the title, and we've started to realize these titles are not just random titles.
No, they have very important meaning. Mm-hmm.
The title is Bright Eyes or Bright Eye, Bright Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know do you know who that references?
Cyclops.
Close. Cable. Rogue calls Cable Bright Eyes.
That's right.
When they the first meeting back in the animated series. I think this episode, at least an element of this episode, is going to tell the story from when baby Cable went into the future.
Yeah, what happened to him?
What happens to him? It gets him to the point of where he is in episode 5.
Yeah. It's a very Back to the Future, to keep using that reference, a bit back to the Future, where we saw him. Now we're going to see him, how he got there and what happened and where he went, and kind of that time travel back and forth. Yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see it.
And I also think that these last couple of episodes are building too, because you saw who you had to bring back, Professor X.
Obviously.
Spoiler alert. And then I really think this episode's going to tie everything together. And then when we open up next week's episode to begin that 3-part season finale, it's going to be
just balls to the wall.
I got theories. I don't think Magneto's dead.
Yeah, I mean it goes back to the old storytelling kick of where, like, if you don't see a body, he's not dead.
But who was in Magneto's arms during that battle?
Yeah, the Morlocks. Yeah.
Which Morlock?
I don't know their names.
Leech.
Okay.
And what's Leech's powers? He shuts down other mutants' powers. So Leech was legitimately in Magneto's arms. And then the last we see is Magneto says to Leech in German, don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next scene you see is the Sentinel or the Wild Sentinel say Omega threat eliminated or whatever.
Yeah.
My theory is Leech activated his powers, shut down Magneto's powers. The Sentinel thinks that Magneto's been eliminated and they escape. And the only reason I say this is I've seen a still or 2 stills of Magneto in that same X-Men 97 art style, back in his red and purple armor or uniform, picking up his helmet and putting his helmet on. And I think what's going to happen at some point in these last 4 episodes, Magneto said, hey, maybe he's talking to himself. Maybe when Xavier gets back to Earth, he connects with Magneto telepathically, but he basically says, Charles, I tried it your way, puts his helmet on and says, now we're going back to my way and I'm going after these humans.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it. My God, we've been talking about this forever, but it's good. It's good. It's all good. It's all tied together. Before we take a quick break,
yes.
Fallout. And I know you haven't been able to see it yet. I won't spoil anything.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean,
it is awesome.
Probably, I'm thinking real hard before I say this. I'm going to go on record and say the best adaptation of a video game ever created.
That's bold.
Ever. And that's and I loved The Last of Us. Right. Loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. But this is by far the most perfectly adapted where and it's crazy because something like The Last of Us does have to follow the story of the games. It can't really do its own thing. It wouldn't make sense to do its own thing. But Fallout is just perfect that you can tell this story without actually following a story, right? You get to create a whole new story, but within the confines, because every Fallout game is a different story just set in the same universe. So this was perfectly set up. It would be as if you made, like, we're going to make a Super Mario movie, but Mario and Luigi aren't in it. And it's about fucking Princess Peach hair day. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't make sense because you're like, well, it's a Super Mario. We want to follow the Super Mario story. So I just, the costumes, the props, the writing, the settings, the story, the humor, the balance between like seriousness and ridiculousness, and how it kind of teeter-totters back and forth, you know, the real heart that's in it, the just everything. I love the fact that because the player is the person that determines the player style, right? Am I going to be a good guy? Am I going to be neutral? Am I going to be a bad guy? I love the idea that they made 3 protagonists and it's essentially 3 different play styles in that the ghoul he's the bad guy. Well, he's not even a bad guy. He's just
anti-hero.
Yeah, he's the morally I don't give a fuck anymore. I just don't care. And just does what he wants. And then you have obviously Lucy being the I'm going to do everything perfect. And then you've got that middle ground in Maximus, who's just like, I'm going to do the right thing, but because it's going to benefit me, right? Because I want to be, he's almost like a crooked cop where he's like, I'm doing the right thing, but I'm doing it for selfish reasons. So he's that, middle ground. I think it's so good. It's so well done. And I'm excited because they just announced season 2 has officially, we all knew with a show like, we knew there was going to be a season 2, but it's now officially in the books. It is going to happen. Amazon has said, yes, season 2 is coming. And without spoiling anything, it seems that we're going to get to experience New Vegas as a possible, because it's not even like it's speculative based on the ending and everything, that New Vegas might be a place we get to visit and experience. I love the fact that there was a lot of really good cameos where there are obviously people you're like, I know that guy, but they didn't take away from the story. It just was like a nice little thing where I think very much like in the world of Fallout, a lot of celebrities have done voices in the games. Yeah. So I thought it was just like a really fun way to do that, where instead of just being a voice, they actually got to be in it. And funny enough, I was reading an article with one of the producers or creators or whatever it was, and they're asking him like, hey, have you had a lot of your Hollywood friends start hitting you up for season 2? And he goes, yeah, man, you wouldn't believe how many people come out of the woodworks when something's good. And,
something's good.
Yeah. And he's like, and he goes, apparently a lot of these people are fans of the Fallout series and now want to do it. And he goes, the most memorable one, Aaron Paul, who was Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad. He was it science bitch, Mr. White. He apparently has been a huge Fallout fan, going so far back that there's pictures of him at the premiere of Fallout New Vegas, of the video game back in 2010. There's pictures of him at the premiere of a video game back when he's at the height of, Breaking Bad. But that's how much of a fan he was. And he said he reached out and he's like, hey, man, if you need somebody for season 2, like, holla at your boy.
Yes. Yeah.
So nice. I think he'd make a great, a junker or raider or whatever.
Fuck it.
But yeah, I'm excited, dude. It's so good. It's so good.
Kenny, hold me to this. and you better still be listening. While we're in New Mexico, we got to watch out Fallout. We got to watch Fallout. It's what, 10 episodes?
It's 8 episodes.
Perfect. We can do that.
Ranging from
we can do that in a
45
weekend.
minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes to like an hour 5. I think the premiere episode was like an hour 10.
That's fine.
But then every episode was shorter than that.
Perfect.
But yeah, it's so good. Classic Fallout. You know. Oh man, yeah. Your guy says he's all about it. So there you go. But yeah, so it's great. It's great. It's so good. I can't. If it doesn't win awards, fuck all of the categories. It means not like you cannot tell me that, you know, okay, is it a drama? No, it's not a drama necessarily. And is it silly? Is it gory? Is it ridiculous? Yes.
Right.
But does it have a message? Does it have amazing writing and story and characters? And a lot of people complained about the Maximus character because they're like, he doesn't have any personality. And like, that's the point. That character is meant to be like, I'm just gonna go where the story takes me. Like that's the point of his character. He's only concerned about like what's right in front of him. You know, he doesn't have aspirations and all these things. Like he's a bland guy. But yeah, there's just so much good. And you know, I love the fact that it's clearly written by, it's clearly designed by people that love the series.
Game. Yeah.
You know, because nothing is taken, like obviously there's Easter eggs, right? Every good show has good Easter eggs. But like there's nothing where you're like, that thing, you know, they're using a laser rifle, but it's shooting bullets. And you're like, that obviously they don't know what the hell they're doing if they, you know, but like everything is the painstakingly detail that went into this is so good. And then even to go as far as they could have literally just said, take everything and put it in this first season, but they purposely left things out. With tease, you know, you see, again, not to spoil anything, you see a certain type of skull to know that even though we didn't see it in the season, they exist in this world. You know, we see, you know, a robot that's half buried, you know, that's pretty important in the game and one of the enemies you fight in the game. We didn't see him active in the series, but he's there. We're letting you know he's there. You know, we see like a hand of a super mutant that's covered up. So we know that they're there. It's like all these things that we know they're there and they're teasing for the second season and leaving surprises for the second season. I'm all about it. I'm so fucking excited. I'm so excited. It's great. It's great. And obviously obviously, was it Fallout 4 became the most played game in like Europe over the weekend? Like it was crazy. All this, you know, subscriber counts went up and the sales went up, and it got people hyped to go back and play the story, which I think is awesome. Scott says, you think we're gonna get an FONV? Oh, Fallout New Vegas. I'm like, what does FONV stand for? Do you think we're gonna get a Fallout New Vegas remake? Honestly, and if you're talking specifically about the game, I don't think so. But what I want more than anything, Fallout 1 and 2, but made in the style of the current day Fallouts. Because for those that don't know, starting with like Fallout 3 is when they went to that kind of 3D style map and before that, Fallout 1 and 2 were like this kind of top down mouse clicky, move your character through the dungeon kind of game. All the elements were there, the story and the things, graphically, that's what it was. So I want them to go back and make Fallout 1 and 2 and do a remaster in current day technology. It could be an exact port. They don't have to change. Now, obviously, they have to, from the ground up, they have to create the levels and things. But like they could use the same words, same story. They don't have to change nothing. Just give it to me so that I can play it like a shooter instead of a point and click, and I'm with it. I'll pre-register the shit out of that for sure. Scott said, look at how many times they've remastered Skyrim.
Yeah.
They should put their own spin on New Vegas. Is definitely possible. But I think, I think a remake for Fallout 1 and 2 would be great. Yeah, dude. Oh my God, I take my money. I will throw it at the screen if they tell me they're making a Fallout. They're like, hey, we're gonna delay Fallout 5 by 2 years because we're doing a Fallout 1 and 2. And you can even do like a dual, because like they released what was like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 was like one game. Do like a Fallout 1 and 2, or call it Fallout 1.5 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And release that, dude. I will I will pre-order that and Fallout 5 at the same time. Take my money. Take my money. And I think with the success of this show, I think they're gonna put more resources behind it for sure. So, all right, let's take a. Or you have? I'll let you. Final thought. Final thought.
Oh, you've said everything about Fallout. I will watch the show, come back in 3 weeks, and I'll give you my thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yes, we need a review. Which by the way, for those that didn't see it, our guy Angry Elf here got to pre-watch. Really, let's shout that out real quick before we go to the break. You got to pre-watch. What was it called?
Infested.
Infested or infestation or infested? Infested.
Infested.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm telling you, like I watched it and not you.
It was a. I went into this movie kind of like, okay, we'll see how this goes. Kind of, all right, I'll watch this, and then like walked out of, or finished watching the movie and walked away from it, going, "Yo, that was pretty good." And it kind of, for me, it was. It's a spider movie, so one, if you have arachnophobia or something associated with that, be forewarned. But two,
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. But like, two, it had like callbacks, in my opinion, to like Alien and Aliens. There's one scene that kind of reminded me of the Colonial Marines going into the hive and then getting messed up, and I was like, dude, because it definitely it. What was it rated? Was it rated R? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But it doesn't have any of the gore. It's just all that
suspense and horror.
Suspense, and everybody's kind of like natural, like creepy crawlers, spiders thing. And the only thing I'll say is the third act kind of, it makes sense, but there's some parts to it. It's kind of like it's a movie, but acts
it
1
took
and
you
2,
it took you out of it a little bit.
A little bit. I won't spoil it, but it did. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. The only thing I'll tell you is if you're not a big subtitle reader, because it is in French, unless you're a French speaker, it is in subtitles, but it is good. It's real good.
I think it premiered on Shudder, which is the horror streaming service.
It's a horror channel.
But so our guy and you wrote a phenomenal review. If you guys want to read the review, it's up on the page. But you wrote a really great review for that, so we appreciate that. We also had the actual King Smith and Nemo got to go to see an early preview of, what was it, like Gentlemanly Warfare, something like that.
Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And they got to see an early preview of that. We put the review up on the page as well. So man, we're getting out there, and we've got people going to conventions this weekend, next weekend. They're going to take pictures. They're going to put it up on the page. So we've got force multipliers out there, man. You guys are the best. You're the reason we get to do all this cool stuff. And the more our team and our people do, the more we're going to get to do. So very excited for that. So let's take a short break.
Yes, please.
5 minutes or less, and then I got some news I want to talk to you about, because I know a couple of things that are near and dear to your heart. So I got some stories just for you.
Well, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. All right, guys. We'll be back from a short break.
After the break.
In a few short minutes.
All right.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, what do you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me told you everything, I bet you cry and run away. 'Cause with all the lies I keep, made you believe this was me. The truth is I am not at all who I preach myself to be. And I deserve to be alone, and I'm alone here with me. Told you everything, I wonder if you would believe that with all the ways you've tried, I couldn't change my selfish needs. And with endless love from you, I took for granted everything. And I deserve to be alone here with me. After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And I believe I could close my eyes and make it go away in dreams. And honestly, I could die to take it all away from me. After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? And after all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've done, do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me
You're watching Pop Culture Warrior. The force is strong. They have the high ground.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, we're back. It's me, CQ. It's him, Angry Elf. We are back. We are live. If you're watching on the vertical YouTube, you got to see just us.
You got to see more than
conversing. Yeah, you got to see more than you bargained for. Let's say. I want to apologize on behalf of my co-host for the indecent exposure
you definitely got to see behind the scenes.
Yes, you got most of the behind of the scenes. So anyway, where'd we leave off? Yeah, okay.
Oh,
so
you have some news.
Yes. So just real quick, we did cancel him twice. You've been canceled. Sorry, man. And with that, there goes Angry Elf. Bye.
No, you can't cancel me.
Okay. So real quick, just because I'm a big fan, The Boys is finally coming back. Season 4, June 13th. Super excited.
Yes.
We are just
2 months.
Yeah, about a little less than 2 months, a little less, month and a half from the new episodes of The Boys season 4, which I'm super pumped about, while also being bummed because obviously the Gen V version has been put on indefinite hiatus, being that one of the main characters died in real life. That's kind of a bummer. Obviously more for him and his family than it is for us, but it is what it is. Steven from the West Coast saying hi. Hi, Steven. Thanks for joining us. I love The Boys. Yeah, I love The Boys too. Yep.
Boys, yes, that was
The Boys. The Boys is the best. The Boys is the best. And again, phenomenal adaptation. Phenomenal. But not the best adaptation.
No.
Props to like Walking Dead for really knocking it out of the park. Obviously, the longer they've stayed on air, the more they've deviated from the source material. It happens. You do 52 seasons, you tend to deviate from the material. But The Walking Dead did it really good up front. Obviously, Invincible is incredible. I mean, purely adaptation, Invincible might be the best thing adapted just because of how... But again, I think it's easier from comic book to animation, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
X-Men and Batman and Spider-Man and all those.
Because it's easier because you can, like, especially in superheroes, you can depict superpowers. I mean, it's all you're going from is still pictures,
to moving pictures.
To moving pictures
With
when
sound.
you go exactly with sound. But when you jump from the comic page to live action, it becomes a challenge. I mean, just take Spider-Man, for instance. Look at how we've had, just speaking with movies, we've had 3 iterations of Spider-Man, right? And with each one, at least visually, they got better. Like that opening sequence to Amazing Spider-Man 2 was mind-blowing, So
I'm with it.
Yeah.
Keith, we're gonna have to talk about this. He says, I'm still partial to The Rock's version of Doom, which I don't think I've ever heard someone say they like The Rock's version of Doom. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Vaguely.
I'm trying to remember when the last time I watched it, and I think that was 2006.
Yeah,
I think I watched it.
It is. I don't want to say the worst adaptation I've ever seen. We should do a poll of like what's the worst adaptation, because I think like everybody that remember the Mario Brothers, like the 87 Mario Brothers was pretty bad.
Nah, it wasn't 87. That was 90 something. But yes,
90 something. Yeah, because that was John Leguizamo. Yeah, like 96, 97.
And Bob Hoskins as Mario. Yeah, that was bad.
That was about as far a departure from the source material as I think I've ever seen. I'm trying to think what would have been a word. Catwoman, Halle Berry's Catwoman.
That was just straight. That doesn't count. That was straight.
Doesn't
That was
count?
straight. No, I say it doesn't count because it's so far departured. That's only in name only.
In sort of costume. She had cat ears.
Yeah, that's almost fan fiction.
It was.
I mean, if
Electra's
we're gonna
movie.
If we're gonna do this poll, you got to do worst video adaptation or video game adaptation, and then worst comic adaptation.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Oh, we got some comments coming in here. It says, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I like Keith Urban in Doom, not necessarily anyone else. Scott says Halo worst adaptation. I don't think it's the worst. Because here's the thing. At least you still have a Master Chief. He's still in it somewhat. Armor looks legit. You have the beats, the right aliens, the right technology. Maybe not the story doesn't line up, but I feel like there's parts in there that are a good adaptation.
I will tell you this with Halo. I watched the first season all the way through. Every week it came out. I watched it, and it was. And then I tried to watch one. I forgot that Halo had season 2 had started. Got told that it was it's on air, and that was around when episode 5 dropped. And then recently I tried to binge it because it was all out, and I got through second episode. I'm like, sorry, I can't do it. Maybe in the future I can get back to it, but I was like, nope. It was too boring.
Heath says The Dark Tower, hands down, also the worst movie ever. I mean, y'all using some heavy words, worst ever. Like that's saying some things.
But we're talking, but Dark Tower, you're talking about
that's a comic adaptation.
No, well, it's a novel. It's a novel and a comic.
Well, yeah. Well, I think the comic was based on the novel, and then the movie was based on the comic. Pretty sure.
I thought the comic and the novels ran side by side.
I don't
they told,
know, man.
They told different aspects of the story. I don't know. I never read a single thing, and that's why, like, when The Dark Tower came out, I had zero interest. I was like, I never read the comics, never read the books. I like Stephen King, but the problem is Stephen King writes 6,000 page novels.
Yeah.
Okay,
here we go. Another vote. Worst video game adaptation: the Resident Evil TV show. The Resident Evil TV show. So
I heard that.
That was the Netflix one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that was pretty horrible. I watched all the Resident Evil movies except for the last one. By the time the last one came out, it was.
Yeah, it was borderline insane. Alita Battle Angel. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it.
Bad.
I didn't mind it. Was it a faithful adaptation? Definitely not. But I didn't mind it. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. But yeah, I love this. Netflix Resident Evil had Lance Reddick too. Yep, it did. All right. Anyway, totally got off sidetrack on that one, but a great conversation, really good. Keep it coming. If you guys got more examples of really good or really bad adaptations, please let us know because I'm curious now. My brain's spinning on that. I got to move on, otherwise I'll do this. Street Fighter. You know what? Say what you will. I loved the corny Street Fighter that they put out with Jean-Claude Van Damme and all the rest of them. It was meant to be campy, right?
Yeah.
But as an adaptation to the source material, no, it was not a good adaptation. But I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I know it was terrible.
But those early games, I mean, they had a storyline, but it was a loose storyline.
Yeah, if anything, at best. Yeah.
it's the same thing with you mentioned Van Damme's Street Fighter. My mind immediately goes to
Double Dragon.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh, first of all, Mortal Kombat. I loved Mortal Kombat. Now,
The
Mortal
first
Kombat
one.
Annihilation, that was a piece of
The
hot
second one
garbage
was
trash.
kind of, yeah. The
Yeah.
first one, yes, the first one was great.
Yes. Mortal Kombat. The soundtrack alone. Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
That was what was up, man. Loved it. Loved it. I used to have a button for that. Oh, I gotta remember what I did with that button. Which also brings me to Spawn. Spawn. Like, we're talking 90s movies, adaptation wise. Loved Spawn. I was a huge Spawn fan.
So here's the thing. That one was deeply involved Todd McFarlane. So you can't say anything about it as far as departing the source material because the Todd father was involved. 2, when you talk about Spawn the movie, you've got to talk about Spawn the animated series. Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And like, you know, and what has it been? Like 10 years or so? McFarlane's been trying to get the
Another
next
Spawn off
movie.
the ground, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Keeps
At
promising
this
point,
it. Here's the thing. I don't think it's for a lack of trying. I think Todd's he's gonna get that out eventually. Now the problem's gonna be has everybody that was Spawn fans that bought Spawn 1 in what 90.
Yeah, that's late 90s. I thought it was late
has
90s.
aged out. Probably that's gonna be that's gonna be his own.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, I will go. I went and saw Spawn in the theater and was like, hey, I was rocking that soundtrack too.
Oh my god, that soundtrack. Dude, that was the best thing about those movies. The soundtracks were just legit, man. What happened to just really good soundtracks? They just don't have them anymore.
Good movie soundtracks. If I had to give you like my top 3, The Crow is on number 1.
Well, sure. Yeah.
That I'm sorry. That's right there. If we're gonna limit it to the 90s, then I'm gonna say like probably Mortal Kombat's number 2, and then Spawn's number 3. No, wait, my number 2 is Batman and Robin.
Oh my god. Charles says the soundtrack to Ghost Ship. I gotta remember. Oh, Queen of the Damned. That had a good one too. Damn. Yeah. Y'all taking me now. I'm gonna like whip out my boombox and start busting out some movie tunes.
I've got that was my thing for a while. Like I collected soundtracks.
Yeah.
And I would rock out on movie soundtracks.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. Oh hell
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, and now you know, like you get like Transformers, and they just basically put Linkin Park songs in the movie, and it's like that's the soundtrack. They just don't make soundtracks. Toy Story, great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yes, Resident Evil 1 opening up with Slipknot. Yeah, man. Yeah, y'all taking me down a trip down memory lane. Anyway, I got stories. I got news stuff. See how y'all sidetrack me like a mother.
Back to the stories. Back to the news.
Back to the news headlines. God bless, man. Y'all get me down tripping down these memory lane walks. It's awesome. So, specifically for you, Angry Elf, I know how big of a fan of you this are. So, bear with me. It's gonna tie it together. I promise.
Yes.
Sony is in talks, apparently, to buy Paramount Pictures. Which is huge, and if it were to go through, it's a joint bid with there's this investment firm called Apollo, so it'd be a joint bid with them. But the reason I bring that up is because Paramount has been making some announcements, and I wonder almost if they're trying to like boost their price. They're trying to boost their stock price to get a bigger bite from Sony. But recently, Paramount's been putting out announcements like crazy. So here we go. Starting off with Paramount Pictures rolling out a live action, and you'll like that I said rolling out, a live action Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie. So
Let's fucking go, dude. Especially considering the fact that they teased that at the end of the last Transformers movie.
Yes. Well, it was the last Transformers movie, and didn't they also tease it as, was it Snake Eyes movie or no? I feel like it was.
I don't know if
there was some type of tease at the end of the Snake Eyes. It might have been to other G.I. Joe movies, but anyway,
it might be. But they definitely teased at the end of Rise of the Beasts.
Yes. So G.I. Joe crossover with Transformers. There was during the CinemaCon in Las Vegas the other week, Paramount Pictures president and CEO Brian Robbins also announced that Lorenzo Di Bonaventura, the prolific producer behind the studio's toy-based blockbuster Transformers franchise and the G.I. Joe films, has extended his deal beyond the upcoming animated movie, Transformers 1, which trailer's out there. I should have grabbed the trailer for that one. I have thoughts. We'll touch on that in a second. We'll touch on that in a second. The as of yet untitled Transformers / G.I. Joe movie is a sequel to last summer's Transformers Rise of the Beast, which ended with the secret government organization recruiting Noah Diaz and his alien Autobot allies into the G.I. Joe organization. That's story one. So thoughts on that? And also, I'd love to get your thoughts as a big Hasbro 80s cartoon fan you are. What are your thoughts on the Transformers 1 trailer that was released?
I think to talk about Transformers 1 to begin, I think it's I like it, and I like it because it's not too serious. It's animated, and it's kind of kiddie in the sense that if Transformers is going to survive into the next generation, they need to start pulling in the younger fans. Mm-hmm. And so when that trailer dropped, I showed it to my daughter, and she got excited and was like, I want to go see that. And now she knows Transformers. She knows who most of the major characters are. So she knows what's up, but she was like, I want to go see it. I've heard people kind of complain that Peter Cullen is not playing Optimus Prime.
Right.
We didn't see, except for one flash, we didn't see Optimus Prime in that movie. We see Orion Pax. And if you know your Transformers history, Orion Pax is the pre-Optimus Prime character before he turns into the Great Leader. Same thing with the Megatron. What they call him, the D16 character that eventually evolves into Megatron. And yes, they were friends, they were buddies, whatever you want to call it, before the whole divide and the Autobots and Decepticons had their war and so on and so forth. I think it looks cool.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on just the voice cast first, and then also this idea of not necessarily retconning, but actually showing us the origins that have only ever been kind of talked about loosely?
With the voice cast, as much as everybody loves Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, it's the same thing with like James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. Unfortunately, these voice actors who were
Charles Merlitt as Mario.
Yeah, exactly. These voice actors were prolific in the 80s, right? And now they're what? In their 80s, pushing 90s. Mm-hmm. Eventually, we're going to lose these voice actors, and someone's got to step up and take their place. Now, Peter Cullen hasn't always voiced Optimus Prime. There have been other voice actors, but I get it. It's the same thing with Mario. So Thor is going to freaking voice Orion Pax. Everybody said when the Mario trailer, or it was announced that Chris Evans was playing Mario. Or not Chris Evans.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, thank you. All the Chris's. Anyways, Chris Pratt was playing Mario, but he didn't do that bad of a job.
He didn't. He didn't.
He did, you know,
Although,
it wasn't, hey, it's me, Mario, but at least they did homage to it.
Yes, I'll be honest though, I was okay with that. But when they released the Garfield trailer and it's just Chris Pratt's voice as Garfield, I was like, come on, man, put a little effort in, just a little.
I mean,
So,
at least with Chris Hemsworth playing,
they've auto-tuned it a bit.
They took out the Australian accent. The one that's as guilty as what you just described with Chris Pratt is ScarJo. There is no ScarJo is Alita 1. There is no that's the same
Also,
voice that she
Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee or precursor Bumblebee. I mean, again, it's just his voice.
Yeah.
Now, I do think they put kind of like a little robotic auto-tune to it, just a tinge of it. You can't go too heavy because then you're not understandable. But yeah, again, I feel like, especially with Keegan-Michael Key, the guy is great at manipulating his voice and doing voices and characters. So I just like, I don't know. It kind of comes off like he wanted a toy with his voice in it. Like,
here's the other thing. We're looking at trailer number 1, and give it September. We'll come back and we'll have a conversation about this movie.
Fair.
Fair. To your second question, telling the origin stories is something that's all the rage. Yeah, I mean, look at it. We can go back 15 plus years. I mean, what's the worst X-Men movie? Wolverine Origins.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that was always something about that character was you didn't know his backstory, but about 10 years prior to that, they did it in comics. And this has already been established.
They did it well.
Oh, yeah. They did the comics well, and they executed the movie poorly. Poorly is putting it nicely.
Yeah.
But they've told this story in comics more than once. So
I hold that, sorry, just as a side tangent, I hold that X-Men Wolverine Origins wasn't even the worst X-Men film. Personally, Last Stand could not. I hate that movie for so many reasons. So many reasons. But X-Men Last Stand, I just, don't get me wrong, Wolverine Origins, really low, really bottom tier. But Last Stand was just trash, in my opinion. Absolute trash of an X-Men film. So
yeah, they're both contenders.
Yeah,
they're both contenders. Well, yeah, never mind. We ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole.
That's all. Moving on to the other part of the story I wanted to tell you was it was also announced, and this is why I tied Sony and Paramount together and talked a little Sony, little Paramount. It was also announced that Sony's TriStar Pictures and Sony Pictures Television, which are two different branches of Sony, one does movies, one does TV, but they've both landed a deal with Hasbro Entertainment, and they're bringing the iconic board game Clue to film and television, which is interesting. So this deal is part of Hasbro Entertainment's overall ongoing strategy to bring some of their most iconic brands to live action. So, and before we discuss, Clue isn't the only board game that Hasbro is looking to bring to screen. Another iconic board game, Monopoly, is set to get its live action treatment. Margot Robbie, I guess after dealing with Barbie, she was like, fuck it, let's just keep going. So Margot Robbie and Lionsgate are developing a film based on Monopoly as well. So thoughts.
We'll see about Monopoly. I'm gonna leave that one alone. The Clue, I will say this with Clue. Clue is one of my favorite games. My daughter and I love playing Clue.
One of my favorite movies.
I was getting there. That is one of my favorite movies. And I like, one of the reasons it's one of my favorite movies is it had a pretty good cast. I mean, Christopher Lloyd,
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, thank you. Tim Curry was in it. A couple others, I can't remember their names. But the phenomenal part about how they did that movie was how it ended. It had 3 endings, and when it got released in theaters, depending on where you went to see the movie, you may or may not have gotten a different ending. And I never knew that because the first time I watched that movie was on TV, and they aired
All 3 endings. Yeah.
endings. And but it was but that it was so good because it kind of played out like how you
A
sitting
game of
down for an
Clue. Yeah.
afternoon playing the game, how it would come out. I know Hasbro has tried a Clue TV show in the past. A couple years back, they did a young teens version or something. I think they called it Cluedo, which outside the United States is the name for Clue, is Cluedo. But sure, let's do it again. They've expanded the Clue universe. There is and I've only seen it on the PlayStation's version of the game, but there's a second board or a second environment to play the game in. Same rules apply, but it's called Adler Island or Black Adler. But it's another resort. The story kind of ties in, and it introduces 2 additional characters, and you can play it. I like it. Clue. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm curious to see if they're going to do separate properties, right? Like the movie is one thing and the TV is something else. Or are they going to try that crossover? They're going to try the Marvel thing where like it's one universe and the movie's this and the TV series is that. I don't know. We don't have more on it just yet.
My advice, and I know they won't listen to me, but if it was my advice,
they're watching. Go ahead.
Do separate universes.
Right.
I think the biggest problem that Marvel is having, and I'll say this and we'll move on, is the idea of homework. If you're a casual Marvel fan and you don't have Disney Plus, or you don't sit there and watch it religiously like some of us do, there's some movies out there that you're kind of going to be lost, like Deadpool and Wolverine. Unless they do a really good job in the first opening moments of that movie to explain the TVA, if you haven't watched Loki season 1 and or 2, you're not going to know who the TVA is.
Take it a step further. Think about the kid who was maybe 11 or 12, or even 10, and saw Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
And that was his first superhero movie, right?
Yeah.
And has been a die-hard since that movie. And now they're going to introduce the entire Fox cinematic universe. And they're going to be like, who the fuck are these people? Who is this Elektra? Who is this Pyro? Who is this? You know what I mean? Like all these characters, they've never, outside of like Wolverine, they've never seen these.
But I get you one better. Imagine being an 8-year-old like my daughter, who I've introduced to X-Men 97, and leading into it, I introduced her to the X-Men animated series, so she kind of understands everything. And then recently we were talking about it, and I said, hey, there's this new movie coming out, Deadpool and Wolverine, but you can't watch it because it's rated R. A couple years from now, maybe you can watch it. And she's kind of like, okay, so they're going to do a movie. Okay. And I said, it's based off of this guy who plays Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. He's been playing Wolverine for years. There's all these X-Men movies. And she's like, there's X-Men movies? There's X-Men live action movies?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. She goes, why am I just finding out about this now? And I'm like, I don't know.
Because they started like 30 years ago.
Yeah. And she's just like, so when can I watch those? I'm like, they're all on Disney Plus. Go watch them.
Yeah. That won't screw up an 8-year-old watching the original X-Men movies.
No. My kid is no. We're talking about the same kid that got suspended from school last year because the kid behind her was annoying her, and she turned around and said, "If you don't stop, I'm gonna fucking kill you."
Nice.
Got suspended. That's well, maybe she didn't drop the F-bomb. She said, "I'm going to kill you," and she got suspended for that. Yes, that's my daughter.
Nice.
I couldn't say it then, but I can say it now. Fuck yeah.
Let's fucking go.
I got a little fucking future fucking killer full of piss and vinegar already.
Oh, Jesus. All right. I got more stories for you.
Yes, more stories.
In keeping in line with things that I know Angry Elf likes, this is an episode just to keep him happy. The sequel series to Ronin, the last Ninja Turtle, finally came out, and the new names of the turtles, the new generation of Ninja Turtles was revealed. So for those, just to catch people up that don't know, Ronin, what was it called? Ronin, the last
Ronin.
The Last Ronin. Thank you. The Last Ronin, which was a story set in a kind of a dystopian future, very much like Old Man Logan, where Shredder and his clan kind of won. The turtles were killed one by one. Master Splinter was killed, and one final turtle was left over, and he kind of just went into exile, disappeared. Years later, comes back, and is basically on a suicide mission. He's basically like, I'm going to fully accepting that I'm going to die on this mission, but I'm going to just take out as many as I can with me. And initially, we don't even know which turtle is, because it's all in black and white. So we don't even know what turtle it was that was left over, because he carries all the weapons of all his fallen brothers. So eventually you find out it was Michelangelo. Michelangelo's the last one left.
Yep.
And he's old and grizzled and just fucking, he's more like Raphael than anything. But he goes and fights and gets vengeance, and parts of April O'Neil are still left, but everybody else is pretty much dead. And she has a daughter, Casey Jones' kid, and yada yada yada. They win the day, they save the day. That was supposed to be the end. But of course, there was a little epilogue on the back end where they had 4 new turtles, and they had the ooze to make Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they kind of left it very vague, like, oh, look, it'll continue on. And of course, because capitalism is what it is, that book went gangbusters, and so now they got they've got the AAA game in the works. They've got the movie in the works, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then they've followed it up with a sequel series called, and I already forgot the name of the title, but it's like the continuation.
Last Ronin, Next Generation, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Turtles in Time, the Next Generation, whatever you want. Yeah. Turtle Trek, the Next Generation, we'll call it.
The Next Mutation.
Yes, the Next Mutation. So the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new 4 turtles, which I'll give them credit. With the original 4 turtles, they looked identical outside of their colors. For this one, they definitely drew inspiration from different species of turtle.
Yeah.
So each turtle looks drastically different than the other, which I give them credit. Creativity, sure. But it's unsettling to watch when they're all together, because it's like they're just so jarringly different. I don't like it. But whatever, that's my own bias. But the 4 names for these turtles are Yi, and I'll probably mispronounce these. Yi, Y-I, Odin, O-D-Y-N, Moja, O-M-O-J-A, and Uno, U-N-O. Now, they're the Next Generation Turtles. They're trained by Casey Jones Jr., the daughter of April and Casey. Now, what's interesting about their names is that all of their names basically translate from different languages to one. Like Uno, everybody knows Spanish, Uno, one. The rest of them are different iterations of that. So Yi is Chinese, Odin is Russian, Uno being Spanish, and Moja being Swahili. So I was just curious, you as a longtime Turtle fan, what is your feelings? Have you seen the depictions?
Yeah, I've seen them. I see how, they're like you described, they're different sizes and different. You can't like mistake them, because that was the thing about the original Turtles. One, when the first couple issues came out, Um, One, it was all black and white. The only way you could depict who was what weapons they were carrying.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they were first colored, they all wore red bandanas. And so again, you went back to the only way you could depict them is by what weapons. And it wasn't until the animated series came out in the late 80s that they got their different colors. I've read The Last Ronin. I haven't read or picked up anything associated with the Next Generation. Maybe I will once it hits a trade paperback. Cool. I'm more interested in seeing this game if and when it comes out. You know how those things go, and then this rumored.
So let's
movie.
talk about it. So a live action R-rated adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin is in the works again at Paramount, because God bless Paramount, they just hitting that nostalgia button. They're just like,
oh yeah.
So Walter Hamada, the former president of DC Films at Warner Brothers, who inked an overall deal with Paramount Pictures to oversee the studio's horror line, is developing the project via his 18 Hertz Productions banner, based on the acclaimed IDW graphic novel from TMNT co-creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. The Last Ronin is set in a post-apocalyptic future, last remaining turtle, yada, 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 yada. So TMNT The Last Ronin is being conceived as an R-rated movie, very much akin, drawing reference to Logan as a story, which I think also references Old Man Logan, which, like I said, there's definitely a similarity between those stories. Tyler Burton Smith, who penned the 2019 Chucky remake and the ultra-violent R-rated action movie out now, Boy Kills World, is the guy writing the script for this movie, which is huge. Hamada is no stranger to adult-oriented comic book adaptations. As an executive producer, his credits include Matt Reeves' dark and moody The Batman, the R-rated Joker for DC, as well as the horror hit Conjuring, all of the Conjuring universe franchise films he oversaw as a production executive. He is, I mean, he's a guy who knows adaptations and world building and stories. So if anybody was the right guy to bring into it, I mean, I think that's your guy. So
the only thing I'd say is if you're going to do The Last Ronin, going R-rated is the right answer. Hopefully they kind of follow the same beats as the comic does, kind of flashing back, flashing forward, so on and so forth. I would almost say The Last Ronin might need to be a two-parter.
Thank you. Thank you. I was like, it's too much story to put in one film.
Yeah.
You'd have to really, really edit it down and almost kill all the turtles in like one spell swoop.
Or unless you were so hard set to do one singular film, you're gonna have to go like pushing 3 hours.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
2.5.
So
2.5
plus. But with it being Paramount, being Hamada, I would say they would not have a problem doing finding a good point to stop the movie, and then go to a sequel.
I think within the story, I think there's a great actual stopping point. And it lets you really build to a crescendo, because within the story, it's kind of Michelangelo like going in there guns blazing to the point where he makes it to the final boss, basically gets his ass whooped, falls into the sewers and decides, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill myself. He's like, I'm on death's door anyway, he's just gonna go out. And I feel like that would be a really cool stopping point, because then the next half is him kind of finally accepting help, because the first half is him just like, I'm gonna do it on my own, I'm gonna do it on my own, do it on. And so him finally accepting help, building his way back up, and then like all the major fighting and going to the end.
And they can't do this whole, the other three turtles die, one single battle, because that's not how it goes. And they were part of the reason that they fall is they were separated.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, they were
and
split up.
so
Yeah,
and and those their deaths are not they yes going R rated because like for instance Raph's death I think Raph out of all of them gets it the worst.
See that's tough. I feel like he goes out like a boss because he throws
He does.
himself into just an
Yeah,
absolute brouhaha, whereas
yeah,
like Donatello just gets blown up and it's there's nothing to it.
right.
Yeah, was it Donatello? Leonardo, yeah, Donatello
Um,
got blown. Leonardo's with Splinter in the end. Um,
yeah,
but I think almost um yeah, because of how kind of quick and off screen the last two happen, I say yeah, go heavy on Raphael's death in like part one, and
mhm.
then you can touch on briefly Leo and Donatello's deaths in the second part. Um,
Now here's the big question: do we go CGI like Michael Bay's Turtles, or do we go back to somebody like the Jim Henson Puppet Studio, like the first movie? I'm not going to
mm,
talk about the second and third movie. I'm talking about the 1990
I know, I know.
TMNT.
I think I think you have. I mean, they already said it's live action, but I
Mm-hmm.
think you have to. I think you have to go CGI. Yeah, I mean, to do it justice,
Yeah,
to really show these guys fighting at full capacity, right? As the badass ninjas that they are,
yeah,
you, you can't be the big rubber suit going here, here,
but
here. Like,
that first movie that was pretty. I mean, that was good.
it was okay. It was okay. You know, to really see them fighting in the first one, you're talking about like the last scene at the end where they're on the rooftop and they're basically taking on Shredder one at a time.
But but based off the source material, that's how that fight went.
I understand that. But based on this source material, Raph is diving headfirst into 600 foot soldiers, all
I'm not
stabbing him at the same time.
all I'm saying. Well, maybe there's a happy medium where we do half and half. You know,
Kind of like
like
the Matrix.
kind of like the Matrix, or kind of like how the MCU is. Some things are live action, and other aspect like
But
Iron
but
Man's
but
armor,
here's
for
the
instance.
problem with that then. I
Yeah,
agree with you, and I feel like that would be the happy middle. But the problem with that is you then need to have something that looks good live
yeah,
that can also look good CGI'd. And it's very hard to do that, in my opinion. It's one thing when it's like Iron Man's suit, which is
yeah,
hard, rigid, nuts and bolts, lots of squares. But when you're talking about bringing a turtle to life, a mutated turtle that's supposed to look fleshy and real, it's going to look really good on screen when it's live action and you're using a suit.
yeah.
But then when you transition to that to CGI, I think you lose. You have to use it
All
for both.
all I'm gonna say is don't rush this.
Yeah, do it
Don't
right.
like do it right. The only other thing is if you're gonna split the story in two parts, be smart about it and do it like some of these other movies, like Lord of the Rings. Film everything together.
Yeah,
Edit the way you need to edit for part one, and then do
sure,
part two,
sure.
but film them as one continuous set. That way, one you don't lose
The momentum of it. Yeah,
the momentum, and then some creative stuff because sometimes you come back to it for a sequel and actors age and you kind
yeah.
of
All types of things. You
so
never know.
but yeah, who knows.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I do it right. Here's the thing. I hope. I mean, yeah, because it anytime you have something that's
Yeah,
so good, the risk with adapting it to another medium is losing some of that magic.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue Old Man Logan, which they tried to make Logan the movie to be,
Yeah.
doesn't stack up. Now, obviously, that's a different situation because they don't have access to all the, this is a
aspects
one
of
for
it,
one
yeah.
port over. But still, there are tons of times where we're promised one thing and it's.
I mean, one of the big departures for the last Ronin storyline is the fact that, especially if you are somebody who hasn't really paid attention to the Turtles since the animated series, they wear additional pieces of like armor or kind of similar to how Michael Bay's Turtles had the different accoutrements. It's not just a bandana, a utility belt, knee pads, elbow pads, and their weapons.
Right.
Like Raph looks like he's got a plate carrier on. Donnie's got a what do you call it? A gi on.
Yeah. They're definitely more suited for combat.
Yeah.
And you get the sense that they're really in it. They're really in this kind of conflict when we pick up that story. But yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
The last news I have kind of coming out of CinemaCon that I felt was kind of within our pop culture realm is Sonic 3 was showcased. And the big news coming out of that is everybody's super excited for the appearance of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yep.
And it was finally released and unveiled, and rumors and speculations have been flying wildly all over Hollywood of who was going to voice Shadow the Hedgehog, with one of the big frontrunners, surprisingly, was Hayden Christensen. Little orphan Annie himself was going to voice Sonic, or Shadow the Hedgehog. Turns out, motherfucking John Wick up in his bitch. Keanu Reeves is going to be Shadow. Sonic, I'm coming for you. It's Shadow the Hedgehog. He took my rings. Keanu Reeves is going to be appearing in Sonic the Hedgehog as Shadow. So yeah, that, and then the big kind of announcement, even bigger than that, was that Jim Carrey is returning as Dr. Robotnik after saying the last film was his retirement piece and that he was done. But apparently, money talks because they got him back.
Exactly. And the same thing can be said about half the properties we talked about tonight.
Yeah. Money talks. What I am happy about, though, is that over the course of these 3 films, we've gotten closer to seeing Robotnik as we believe him to be in the series. And apparently, Mr. Jim Carrey is going to be a little more rotund for this appearance, in that he's moving closer and closer to his video game counterpart, right? Because he started out as a normal looking dude, and by the second one he was kind of bald with the frills, still thin though, and in this one apparently he's gonna round out a bit. So
that's fine.
Dr. Eggman might actually be a thing. So what did you think of the sign? The first one I rather enjoyed. The second one I kind of came and went.
I took my kid to the second one. The first one we watched at home. I like the fact that they listened to the fans, because remember when that first trailer came out?
Oh my
Sonic
God!
Model looked like.
Oh my God! I love that they. What movie was it that they? Oh, the Chippendales.
Chippendales, yeah.
Chippendales, when they brought Ugly Sonic.
Yeah.
And he's at convention. Bro, that hit so close to home. He's a D-list celebrity signing things at conventions. Oh, man, that made that whole movie. I don't remember anything from that movie except that. Oh, that was so good. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. The Sonic stuff is, as long as the kids like it, that's all I care about.
Yeah. I mean, it's at the end of the day, look, we feel like these are for us because we grew up on these properties, but the reality is they might have been initially created for us, but they're not for us anymore. No. They're not. They're for a new generation.
It's how these that's the whole thing. Like how these that's how these properties are going to stay, for
relevant.
Forever.
Yeah.
You've got to, if you're a fan and you want to keep these things going, you have to introduce them to your kids. You have to, it's um
I look at it like James Bond, right?
yeah.
It's the idea is that it transcends generations, and
Hmm.
each generation has their James Bond, right? I mean, we grew up
Yeah.
with Pierce Brosnan, but evolved into a Daniel Craig,
Yeah.
and so it's not fair to say like these are ours and they're for us when it's like no. I mean, they predated us in some Mario and a lot of
Yeah.
these predated even us, and they'll be around long after, and they have to adapt and adjust and overcome and kind of
And
evolve, you know.
yeah, I mean, some properties have figured it out, some properties haven't, and it kind of goes back to the whole thing we were talking about earlier with the Transformers. They've got to adapt, they've got to adjust, they've got to, tell different stories. You can't tell the same story
Yeah.
over and over again. It gets, what?
It's why comic books retcon, right? It's why
Yeah.
they retcon. It's why they reestablish characters and kill them off and bring them back and all that, because
You
you got to tell them something different.
you mentioned to talk about that. You mentioned Last Stand, X-Men Last Stand. That was your least favorite X-Men movie, and it used an element, the Phoenix saga, right? They try to retell it years later with the First Class group, right? And my daughter recently asked me about
Wait,
that.
that might be the worst movie. Phoenix. I forgot Dark Phoenix was a movie.
Yeah,
That might be the worst X-Men movie. I don't know. Yeah.
it could be, but the point of matter is, she asked me about it in the as she was discovering these live action movies, and I said, no, 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 no. You want the Phoenix Saga? You go to the animated series.
Yeah.
And she looked at me. She goes, "You serious?" And I said, "Yeah. You go to the animated series. Why? Because they stayed as close as they could to the storyline, and they did a better job. I will tell you this, MCU, if you're going to go and take these X-Men and go off on adventures, I'll tell you this. If I was if I got hired on right now to introduce the X-Men into the MCU,
All right, here's your pitch.
after
Here's
I
your moment. We're gonna
here's my
clip
pitch,
this and
here's my
send it
moment.
in.
I would start with the giant size X-Men crew. Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Banshee. That would be where we jump in. The X-Men have already been established. You had Cyclops in the original X-Men. That's where you jump in, and then you move forward from there. And I would tell my first movie, I would tell the story of Giant Size X-Men #1. That would be my first movie. And it closes with kind of, I would tell there would be some tweaking and all that stuff, but the end state would be that Chris Claremont crew that he had for that first run. That would be my crew: Storm, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, um, Banshee, Cyclops, Jean Grey. That's who I'd go forward with these movies. And you jump in, and they're already established. The X-Men are already established, and through that first movie, you kind of figure it all out. That's where I'd start. I wouldn't go back to an origin story. I origin stories, we've done them too many times. You can do some flashbacks. Um, I mean, kind of look like how did the Tobey Maguire second and third movie do it? How did they tell the recap you from the previous movie? As the opening credits came up, you had some images that kind of basically told the story.
Mm-hmm.
I would do something similar to that and jump forward and go.
Yeah. I think Marvel's gotten better
Yeah.
about not necessarily having to do an origin story.
Right.
I look at love them or hate them. I look at movies like Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
Did a really good job explaining who the character is and gave it a backstory without necessarily saying, "Let's start at the beginning." Um, Miss Marvel as a series
Yeah.
was kind of an origin story. It kind of was an origin story now that I
Yeah.
think about it. Moon Knight kind of dropped us
Moon
into
Knight.
the middle. It was a
Yeah,
great,
Moon
was a
Knight was
great
a good one.
series. They have done Eternals, again, love it or hate it, told its story through flashbacks and things, but wasn't really an origin story to speak of.
You mentioned Origin, or excuse me, Eternals. I saw a hot take recently saying that the Eternals should have been a Disney Plus series
Yeah.
and
You could have,
expanded it.
man, you could have did Eternals through the ages. Every episode's a different decade or a
Kind of like
different
what
century.
WandaVision did.
Yeah, man. And I think that could have been so cool. That could have been
Yeah,
so cool. Like these characters in the Roman age, these characters in Greek mythology, these characters
yeah.
in, pilgrimage, and these characters, the Old
Gave,
West.
gave them 6 to 8 hours to tell their story instead of
Yeah,
2.5, whatever it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
But
Such good
yeah,
talent. Such good talent kind of wasted in that movie.
yeah.
Um,
The other thing I would do with X-Men is mention him, kind of allude to him, but Magneto, I would be, because the first what 7 movies that they had, Magneto was front and center. I would I would not bring Magneto into the story, like put him on screen until maybe the third movie.
Honestly, I think, and this is gonna be a hot take here. I think Wolverine needs to take a seat for a little bit. I think you finish out Hugh Jackman with this movie.
Yeah,
You introduce the X-Men, and you can go X-Men First Class, not necessarily like the movie. I mean like old school original X-Men, like, Beast in human form,
yeah,
Angel, Iceman, and you can start from there. And not necessarily it has to be their first day, but like that is the roster. um and build up to getting things like Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Jubilee, all them. um we've seen enough Wolverine. We've Hugh Jackman's
well,
killed
yeah.
it. Whoever steps into the shoes is gonna have the damnedest time trying to establish themselves as Wolverine. um you
It,
know without
and
without Hugh Jackman.
it, if you start off, all right, if you start off with the first class, or the
Mhm.
original 5 X-Men, then when you decide to introduce Wolverine needs to get a origin, right? But scrap how they did Wolverine origins, but do have it pick up with the Weapon X storyline. Have that origin kind of be the Weapon X storyline, and like have it be that body horror movie that story was. Not have it be 15 minutes of a 2-hour movie. Have it be
Yeah.
that, maybe establish it that he was a secret agent and whatever. And, but bulk of that movie is the body horror. You know, he gets the adamantium put in, it really messes him up. He has that all that cybernetic stuff hanging off of him. His battle with that bear where they're trying to control him, and he ends up breaking out. Um,
Believe it or not, what I would love is
yeah,
kind of, because again, the Weapon X thing has been kind of done. Um,
true.
I'd like introduce him the way he was introduced in the comics, where the X-Men are called in because there's a rampaging Hulk on the loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you flash the Hulk, and you see something moving in the shadows of the woods, and then fucking just Wolverine comes out of nowhere, and they go at it. And who knows, maybe he, like in the comic, he like rips him in half. And you know what I mean? And like in the, whatever it is, the X-Men are like, oh my god, he's still alive. And because they don't know who he is.
yeah.
They bring him back, and he like pieces himself back together. Like, I just think that'd be a really cool introduction, the way it was done. And again, you don't have to explain everything. You don't have to handhold people. Just
No,
just have him come in, and he's this guy, and he's just angry all the time, and he's an outcast and all this and all that, and like, but that could be introduced second movie, third movie, whatever. Um, but I think Wolverine's had his time to shine. He's been huge. But I just think the X-Men. I saw somebody say this: the X-Men and the cartoon, especially, and now in the '97. Why is it so much better? everyone really gets a chance to shine.
Yeah.
It's a balanced, like everyone gets their moment. And
Yeah.
you look at all the X-Men movies, and maybe rightfully so, Wolverine was Wolverine featuring the X-Men, like every single movie, single movie.
Well,
go ahead.
but look at X-Men 97 right now. Wolverine had
Barely.
he fought in the
Barely
first
in it.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
He was involved in the second episode. Third and fourth episode, he kind of makes some appearances.
Yeah.
I don't think he was in the fifth episode, and he definitely wasn't in the sixth episode. Now, I'm assuming that he's going to be kind of involved in the 3-part season finale because there's probably going to be a lot of fighting and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, he hasn't been front and center. You barely see him,
and that's why it's so good. That also adds to the mystique of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Right? If we don't focus on him, he's this mysterious, gruff. We don't know what he's thinking, what he's going on. Like, again, the way they did in the movies was fine. There's nothing wrong. But like when you make it all about him, there's nothing. You know, there's just nothing exciting about the character. If you're just going to show him all the time.
Have you seen X-Men Pride of the X-Men? That
X-Men prior to the X-Men?
No, Pride of the X-Men.
Oh, Pride of the X-Men. Yeah.
That 30-minute kind of teaser, not teaser, but freaking they attempted an animated series before the X-Men animated series. Right. Wolverine wasn't front and center in that. Wolverine was a supporting character.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's where he works best.
There is a scene in an early 2000 X-Men comic, and if I can, all I remember is Cyclops is divvying out the X-Men, trying to create the new roster for these teams, right? And Wolverine makes a comment, and it's kind of like semi fourth wall breaking, but looks at Cyclops and goes, "Dude, I get it. I'm one of your best ones, but I can't be on all these fucking teams." Mm-hmm. And at that time, Wolverine was legitimately on all the X-Men teams out there.
Yep.
And it's like, you know, and the thing,
and a part of every team up. He was half of every team up.
And plus, he was in the Avengers. He had his own comic. Yep. It was you couldn't hit the freaking the newsstand any week out of the month and not have a Wolverine appearance.
It's too much.
You know, he's all over the place.
But anyway, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
And now Deadpool's sitting there looking at me, judging me.
He's like,
don't judge me.
What did you say? So yeah, well, I'm cautiously optimistic about the future of the franchises of the X-Men and the MCU as a whole and all that. So we'll see. But alrighty, we have been talking for 2+ hours.
Yes.
Do you have a final thought, a final thing you want to share before we are to get off tonight?
I'm excited for the next couple of weeks. I'm excited for this summer. I want to, you know, there's some good stuff coming out. As much as I complain about Disney and stuff, X-Men, the Bad Batch finals out in a couple weeks, and then you got a couple more Star Wars cartoons, and then we've got Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep. I just saw a tweet too from James Gunn that Peacemaker season 2 has just started filming. So good. I was a big fan of Peacemaker. I thought they knocked it out of the park. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. Really enjoyed that series.
That was a good one. And I want to see how he keeps or how he ties this all in, keeping that running, but everything else around Peacemaker is changing.
It's interesting. It's interesting because the way he alluded to it is that Peacemaker is still canon, but not necessarily Peacemaker season 1.
Okay.
Like you seriously like the character is of this universe, is of the new DC universe, and season 2. Like, I don't even think they're going to call it season 2. I think they're going to call it something else. Kind of like Daredevil Born Again. I don't think they're going to call it season 2. But this Peacemaker will be because it'll come out after Superman, so it'll be part of that universe, the new universe.
Yeah.
And he did say that season 1, like he said, parts of it may be canon, but in its totality, it won't be canon because nothing. He said officially nothing is canon until Superman.
As long as it keeps the same tone and there's some
will.
familiar faces, it's fine.
There are familiar faces. John Cena is still Peacemaker, and a lot of the supporting cast is still in it. And he was asked about the intro because it was a very unique intro, and he said they are shooting a completely new intro.
Yes,
for season 2.
I would say what they need to do is each season it's a different song with a different dance routine that kind of plays into what's going on that season.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When they do the 3rd season, do something else. I don't know.
Yeah. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what it is, but let's toss up the you got the shows here around the station. Sunday nights is WTF Nation Radio's The Sports Bar with King and Coach. They're giving you all those sports breakdowns. I think they spent an entire episode talking about O.J. Simpson last week and about his
OJ
career.
OJ, he killed it.
Yeah, he killed it. He sure did. Monday is the Monday edition, the aptly named Monday edition with Ice and Massey, who's a good friend of our show, and they talk all your news, commentary, discussions, what's happening in the world. Tuesdays right here, Pop Culture Warrior with Mad Mike and Mad Mike Light.
We can't talk about it. Can't talk about it.
Oh, man. And our friend here, Angry Off, thank you for being here tonight. Wednesdays is the Smoke Pit. That is Radar and TZ. That's for all you smoking and joking fools, you lower enlisted, you sham shielding, wielding sons of bitches. Thursdays is Ice and Spanky on Sergeant's Time. That's all you upper enlisted folk, all you higher echelon peoples, you E5s and above. What was that?
Upper enlisted, like upper class?
Upper enlisted, you're like your middle upper class people. And then Fridays, obviously, closing out the week with Friday Night Freedom and all the silliness that they entail. It was a great show. All right. With that, Mr. Elf.
Yes.
Mr. Angry.elif. Any closing thoughts? Any closing parting words for the audience? Anything you'd like to share, keep an eye out, or poke, or prod, or whatnot?
Don't eat Cheetos and yank your crank. It'll turn your dick orange.
There you go. Love it. All right, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. We will see you guys next week. Don't miss out. Friday night, we are playing the game. Was it the Game of Ham on the live stream? And next week, we'll have the creators and a giveaway. And it's been a minute since we've done a giveaway. So tune in and we'll have a giveaway next week. Until next time, folks. We'll
hasta luego.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Chats.
Doc! Oh, no! We're too late! We missed it! Oh, jeez, this is heavy. Ah, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Doc, I got a time machine. I'm just gonna punch in the coordinates. Pop Culture Warrior, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WTF Nation Radio. Now crank this bad boy up to 88 miles per hour.
Let's see it.